you see what you have to do to make sure you have a smooth operations. That is the mentality.
So the mentality, how to go about project management, which of course he mentioned, is initiating, and then you talk about planning, you talk about execution, monitoring work being done, and then you bring a closure to it. But you also need to learn lessons as well. Now, let's take, for example, along the line, let's say planning. And you've planned and you've given tasks to people to perform. And there's a group or an individual who is, let's say, dragging or pulling the whole team back, because everybody has a role to play, everybody has a responsibility or a schedule given to him or her. And one particular individual or group, is delaying work. How do you handle it? Let's say, for example, as a supervisor, because like I mentioned in the earlier question I posed, there are supervisors who are supposed to check some of these things. That's whether they do a good job. Well, we don't know. But it is possible that somebody might not be necessarily pulling his or her weight. How do you handle it?
You need to know why that's happening. Some people might not be up to the task. So one thing a project manager should do is delegating tasks properly. So it's a quality of a project manager. You need to know how to delegate tasks properly. But these things can still happen. You can still know their strengths and their weaknesses and use that to dish out your activities. But when it happens like that, look at what is happening. Probably the person needs training. So you manage your team. It's part of project management. You need to manage your team. Now, if you're managing your team, okay, you manage the whole team and manage individual people within the team. So if a person like that is dragging out the project, you need to find out what's happening. If you think he's not up to it, then you need to assign it to a different person. So it all boils down to you keeping your eyes on the ball, you monitoring and making sure everything goes as planned.
But again, project management involves other things. And here I'm talking about where we live in a technological world. And so therefore technology plays a critical role to be able to get certain things right. You also talked about, being very organized, where, for example, if you're looking for some particular document, you just don't have to be flipping through drawers or shelves. You know exactly where you need to go and get it, so you don't even delay a meeting. For example, there's a meeting ongoing, and you call on your secretary to bring some document to you. If she or he doesn't even know where she kept it, it's a big problem. Now, when we return, I'd like us to take a few things. For example, we'd like to talk about time in project management. I'd like us to talk about a few other things by way of communication. You talked about communication, because in many fields, people don't even communicate well. It might be creating problems for them. How do you even identify that as somebody that you've employed to do some work for you is not communicating well with your customers? How do you handle that? How do we build ourselves to get it right from that very angle? And again, in terms of project management, how do we apply it to ourselves? I mean, individually, in our own life. I'm not talking about the business world. I'm talking about my own life. Because like I said in the initial stage, people make plans for themselves for the beginning of every year. How do you task yourself? How do you use the initiating, the planning, the execution, the monitoring for your own self to get to know that you're on track, that you're improving upon yourself in the new year? So when we return, we'll touch on these and more. And listeners, please don't go away, because GODWIN AFFUL is an expert when it comes to project management. There are a few things he's touched on that I'm sure that you are taking notes of that will make you a better person, or even help your business do better in the year 2018. If you have any questions, note them down and ask him later when we do activate the phone lines. He has mentioned 5 key things, or let's say 6 key things that will help us do better, especially when we have a project on hand. He talked about initiating. He talked about planning. He mentioned execution. He also mentioned monitoring, closing, and one last thing, lessons learned from that very project, which of course helps you in the next project to do better, because you learn lessons and you don't repeat those mistakes that you may have committed in the earlier project. We'll be right back. Please don't go away. This is Love 99.5.
Oh, this gate. Hey, Mr. Techi, please come and help me open my gate. I beg you. What is wrong with this gate? You know, this is the second time I've changed this gate after the thieves broke into my shop 2 months ago. When I open it, it always gets stuck in the middle here. I don't know why. I'm even tired of it. Papako, I've always been telling you, never compromise on quality. You see, I've been using my roller shutter gates for the past 10 years, and I have never had any problems with it, because I got it from Donima Steel Complex. Donima Steel Complex provides quality roller shutter gates at affordable prices. They are of high quality and impossible to break in. That's not all. They have the manual and automatic gate systems, which are ideal for warehouses, domestic stores, and garages. And they are installed by professionals without any extra charges. Had I known. Don't had I known, yeah. Locate Donima Steel Complex at Asafo, YF Junction, near the Ghana Revenue Authority office, or call 0244-126-625. Donima Steel Complex, home of tropical products.
The sun is so bright and I'm feeling so dry. I need something to quench all my thirst. Something so pure and so healthy. Bella new life every day. Your new generation mineral water. Bella, give me new life every day.
Bella mineral water, your new generation mineral water. Look out for the elegant red label.
Give me new life every day. Bella.
Would you bring a hot-looking gentleman into the home you share with your ex-husband?
No, but I won't share the same house with my ex-husband.
Mr. Kwate, henceforth, I need you to use this side of the entrance, okay? And make sure you park the car more towards this side, exactly on this angle.
From the stables of Sparrow Films comes Potato, a divorced couple who decide to share equal space in the ex-matrimonial home soon realize the idea is easier said than done, bent on flexing their egos and scoring points. The two explore various hilarious tactics that soon inflames emotions and turns an already complicated situation into a roller coaster.
This from someone who asked me for a divorce. Let's not forget who broke up this marriage.
I worked my butt off.
Starring Jocelyn Dumas, Chris Atto, O.C. KJ, Nikki Samonas, Joke Silva, and many others. Come witness this beautiful comedy told from the mind of an award-winning filmmaker, Shirley Frimpong Manson. Potato premieres in Kumasi.
Saturday, 27 January at Micklin Hotel. First show 5:30 p.m. and the second show 8:30 p.m. Get advance tickets for only 20 Ghana cedis.
Get your ticket at Love FM, Abuja Fast Foods, Micklin Hotel, Poco Trading Supermarket, and Abibio Express. This is a star-studded movie you don't want to miss. Potato. This event is brought to you by Love 99.5 FM in partnership with Sparrow Films.
All right, so we're back here with you on Love 99.5. You know what? We're having a conversation on project management. And, you know, my guest, who is an expert, he teaches and lectures project management to people who think they need it, is doing an amazing work out there. And he's already told us when it comes to projects, there are some basic things that we need. We need to do the initiating, we need the planning, the execution, the monitoring, the closing of the project. And of course, you also document everything by way of lessons learned. So going forward, you don't have to repeat the same mistakes you did. But these are things that we need even in our day-to-day lives. Unfortunately, although unconsciously we do some of these things, we need to make a conscious effort to make it part of our lives, and that's one thing that is really missing. And that's why we're having this very conversation. Who are you? What are you into? What do you do? Do you think that you are achieving the right results? Do you think that you need to know more about project management? Well, we're here for you. Later on, we shall be activating the phone lines here, and you can join us with some contributions or some questions. Better still, well, you can send us some questions or some comments on our Facebook page. We're also streaming live on Facebook. So, Mr. Afo, coming back to, this issue of project management. In your initial, submissions, you talked about some key things that we need: the skills, the tools, and the techniques. Yeah. Tell us about them. Let's begin with, for example, the skills.
Yeah, the skills is your ability, okay, and you need to learn it's an art. So once you learn project management, you have the skill, okay. Tools and techniques are things that you use in order to. So there's input, there's tools and techniques. So things that you need tools and techniques to implement. To achieve your results or get your output, okay? So you get your input, then you use, so it's like a medium, okay? Once you know exactly what to achieve, but what do you use to achieve it? That's a tool and technique, okay? So some of them are automation tools. Example is, I want to understand my project. What tool and technique can I use? I can use benchmarking. So that becomes a means, okay? So you need to know some of the tools and techniques. I want to know when my project will end or the duration of my project. A tool and technique can use a network diagram or a Gantt chart. I can use a Gantt chart to tell me when the project will end. So these are some of the tools and techniques. So that's a bit where you need to learn. Okay, most of the other part, if you really start thinking. So I say the people who are really wise, you see them to be properly organized. Look at our grannies, look at our mothers, look at their level of thinking. You know, how they are properly organized. Even if you are looking for a document, they can find it for you. Your old pictures, they can bring it to you. They are properly organized because they think. Okay, so when you start to think, if you become a thinker, you realize that you become properly organized. But that tool and technique bit is where you have to learn in project management, because whatever you want to achieve, you need to know, what do I use to achieve it? That's a tool and technique part.
Again, before the break, you mentioned communication as a key factor in all this. How well are we communicating? How well are we satisfying, for example? How well are we playing the role of good customer service?
It's poor, very poor. Communication. I'll give you an example. I wanted to open an account with a bank. I gave them my details and I gave them a check. It did not go through. They didn't call me. I had to follow up because, can I have my account number? Did the check go through? No. 2 weeks after, improper communication. Now, part of things you do to make sure you achieve success is achieving customer satisfaction. And part of achieving customer satisfaction is making sure you make life easy for the customer. Okay? So you always have to think for the customer, make things easy for them. And you need to communicate properly with them. So communication, bottom line is being understood. I try to simplify project management. When we talk about communication, bottom line is being understood. So if I'm coming here and speaking French and my audience can't really understand French, I'm not communicating.
You're not.
I can very fluent. If I'm talking to people who speak Twi, who understand Twi, and I'm being that fluent, it does not matter. When it comes to communication, we think of fluency, but it has little to do with fluency. Bottom line is being understood. So we need to start thinking, how do I make the people understand me? Once you think in that area, you communicate properly. And if you know communication, even when you're doing your proposals, it becomes easy for you. So I tell people, if you want to do proposals, think for the one you're sending the proposal to. How do I communicate? How do I make myself understood? Because he's not there with you to ask you, what does this mean, or what does that mean? Okay? So you need to start thinking, how do I make myself understood? Try to communicate properly, thinking for the other person, making it simple. That's communication. And to me, we are not doing it properly. We are not doing it properly. So I say project management gives you a lot. That's why I come and say, if you haven't got it, you got problems. I have a T-shirt, it's got mad with PM skills, making a difference with PM skills. And if you have not got it, you have problems. If you're an individual and you have not got project management, you can say, we do our New Year resolutions, we set targets, the year will run out, we realize that we haven't achieved nothing. Okay? When you have the project management mentality, you set your target, you see, because there's a timeline to it, you see as a project. Okay, you put timelines to everything you want to do in a year.
Okay, so by end of January, I buy my forms.
Yes.
And I submit them within 2 weeks.
Yes.
You note them all down. And then having done the submission, I'm going to prepare for, let's say if there's going to be an interview or whatever, I prepare for it. And then if I get, then I start learning. I'm working, and I need to combine work with school. So those are the times I'll be studying, and you stick to them like glue, or it's like a ritual.
It becomes your plan. So you start by, like I say, initiation. You need to understand what you want to do this year, then you start planning it. Then you put timelines. Very, very important. I say God works like that. God works managed by project. God, he manages by project. Remember, that's how when he was creating the world, he put a timeline on it. So what it means is it's telling us something. Everything that is vitally important to you, you have to put a timeline to it. If you don't do that, there's no way you can achieve it.
You mentioned again a while ago, I think when we began, that we're not doing these things, although they are part of us, they are part of our day-to-day activity, is because we are lazy.
Because we are lazy. And you know, I say project management brings commitment. Because once you have that mindset, you want to be properly organized. Okay? So it will take away that laziness. I have a file. I know if I leave it here, it will be very difficult to find it later. Why not put it there add it to my records or my control schedule, so that if I'm looking for it, it becomes easy for me. If you are lazy, you just leave it here. You won't do that. So when you have that mindset, I want to be looking for this file. I want to have it easy when I'm doing it. So this is what I have to do. Put it there, add it to your control schedule. So if I'm looking for it, I know exactly where to go. But if you have that laziness in you, it won't happen. So if you have the project management mindset, it brings out that commitment. It makes you properly organized. It makes you hardworking. So the organizations, if they want to get their people to be hardworking, they need to give them project management skills. That is what will solve the problem.
But unfortunately, it's not taught in our schools here. I mean, are we taught?
That's the problem. You have few courses, basically having project management in there. You know, many of them do not. I did a training for the national service. I think last year I had about 600 people, and I asked this question: how many of you know about project management? Response: 7. I went to Koforidua. I had about 500 people. I asked the same question. I had 7 again. I went to Takrade. Had about 400 people. Asked the same question. I had 5. But these are people coming from the university. They have no idea about project management. So when you employ them, how did they become properly organized? That is why many organizations are struggling. Because the people they recruit, they haven't got what it takes. And these days, it's not just your technical skills. Project will give you some soft skills. So not basically technical skills. You need to have soft skills as well. So if you go to KNUST and you are a mechanical engineer, you come out as a mechanical engineer, you don't just need that qualification to be successful. You need complementary soft skills like project management to be complete, to be well-rounded. And you know, once you get that, and another thing is, I did a small survey. I wanted to find out what employers look out for when they are recruiting people. What do they want? So if you go for interview, what are some of the things they are looking for? And it came to light that they look for people with planning skills, time management, coordination, prioritizing skills, team working skills, leadership, problem solving, critical thinking skills. These are basically project management skills. So the answer is they are looking for people with additional project management skills. So these days, trust me, if you are not careful and you just take on people like that, you have problems. When people are coming in, know exactly what they have. If you don't look at that one, you have problems. And if you've already recruited them, it will be better for you to start training them. Because if you don't do that, the cost overruns, the delays, the poor customer satisfaction will come like a cancer with no cure.
Let's talk about quality. How does project management, if done right, affect quality?
Quality definition, very simple: fit for its intended purpose. Degree of excellence, going according to the customer specification. Quality, bottom line, is achieving customer satisfaction. So what you see as quality, I might not see as quality. You see the big fonts, we call it Mahama Ferry. That big phones, it can charge other phones. It has a long, strong battery life. You might see it as something that's not quality. But what's the purpose? It's meant to last longer, to have a strong battery life. That is a quality phone because it's serving its purpose. So anything that serves its purpose is quality. Now, how do you achieve customer satisfaction? So what they want, if you're able to achieve their specification, is quality to them. Now, how do you do this? It's all about planning. Everything has to be planned, properly organized. It's all about implementing it. The same approach, the same principles. If you go through it, you achieve your quality. Because let's say the customer says, I want a chair, this specification, this this length, and all that. Everything is planned. Teamwork, we implement, we check. There's a supervisor checking. Before we send the product, there's someone checking to see whether it's going according to the specification before we send it out, which we call validation. So it has to be validated before you send it out. So once you step up on monitoring, you achieve your quality. And start with your plan. You plan, you execute, you check. So you use these practices or principles to achieve all these things we are talking about. Your quality, your time, to achieve your proper communication and all that. Simple. If you do that, make sure everything you are doing, you understand it. Everything you are doing, there's a plan to it. And once there's a plan, you strive to implement it. And once it's going on, there's proper, strong monitoring. And that's where you go to sleep. Go to the public sectors. They spend time, they plan and all of that. But when it comes to monitoring, everyone goes to sleep. So we just go back to zero.
And indeed, even in our own homes, I mean, if you want your home to be, to run smoothly, as a father or a mother, you have to be well organized.
Well organized.
Because there are times when the man comes after the woman has cleaned the home and arranged things. The man just comes and drops things anyhow. Then he gets up in the morning and is asking, "My socks no way." If you're the man yourself, if you're properly organized, if you use those project management skills that we're talking about, you'll not be asking where this or that are, because you know that your wife will place them here or there, or you know where you place them yourself and you go for them. And of course, even when you get to the kitchen, if things are properly organized, if your wife is not at home, you know exactly where you can find the salt and find the other stuff that you need for the food and all that.
So you're basically stepping into the benefits. So what it means is once you have the project management mindset, everything you do becomes successful. So I say this, everything is better with butter. Everything is better with project management. If everything is better with butter, one student asked me, if you put butter in soup, would it taste better? But I think it would taste better. So if everything is better with butter, then everything will be better with project management. You become properly organized, and it will give you a lot of benefits.
So we lack
your time.
We lack it now.
We lack it.
How do we get it? I mean, it could be that even as we speak right now, some supervisors who are listening to us are clueless as to how to get it. They have some ideas, but as to how to execute it is a problem. It could also be that some bankers, some people who work in some financial institutions and whatever, they have ideas. But as to, again, how to go about it and stick to it is a problem. How do we do that?
We need to learn it. It's an art. It's like you going to learn mechanical engineering. If you haven't learned it, you can't do it.
But with that, you go to a particular place where you're taught.
Yes.
And then you acquire the ability or the skill to do what you have to do.
You go to any tuition provider to learn it. You can come to us if you want. We teach project management. You can go to any tuition provider to learn. You can start reading about it because there are a lot of books on project management to give you the simple understanding of project management. So you need to learn it. You need to make an effort to understand project management. And once you learn, so I say there's project knowledge, there's project management knowledge, there's project management wisdom. Because you have people who have actually acquired the knowledge, but the ability to apply put the knowledge into practice becomes a problem.
But is it difficult to really apply it? I mean, you've learned it, you know about it. They're listening to us this afternoon. They might have heard about a few things that they might have made notes on. Is it difficult to apply it?
It's not difficult. Once you have the passion for achieving perfection, you want to be properly organized. It shouldn't be difficult because you know the end results. Okay, that should drive you. And I should repeat this: if you are lazy, it will be difficult for you to apply project management. So that demonstrating project management wisdom will be very, very difficult for you if you are lazy. You can get that knowledge, but applying the wisdom will be very difficult. So it's important for you to eschew that laziness and look at the benefit. Because planning is not easy, David. Now you want to have a show. I think you went through some planning. You had to draw down. Someone would say, okay, I won't do anything. I will just come in here and I will just sleep and just walk in here and start the show. Whatever comes to mind, you will fail. But you need to sit down and plan. And it takes time. And if you are lazy, you might not want to go.
But I don't think that you made reference to our grannies. I mean, they didn't do some of these things. Like they were able to get it right. They didn't jot down things. They didn't forget them. They don't forget that. They know exactly where, like you mentioned, where the old pictures are, where some documents are. So how come they were able to do it? And
so, like I say now, I was saying, project management. There's application of knowledge. There's knowledge in it. Okay. So I say it is modeled on common sense. So any thinker can practice project management. Any thinker. So once you start to think. So our grannies, our mothers, they are thinkers.
So we
and another thing is, you just observe them. They write, they document. Everything that is important to them, they write. I look at my mother every day. She's writing everything. She does not know anything about project management, but she's properly organized. She's practicing it. Just as she's not aware, she's practicing it. If she employs, there's a book, you write your name, the date you came in, what you will do, document it. So she knows exactly when to pay you. If you can't argue with her saying, "Oh, I came in around SEF," but you see a big organization, they recruit people, they want to pay them. They are thinking, when did you even come in? They say, "Oh, yeah, I reported on this." No, you came on the 10th. There's argument. But if it's properly documented, there's no argument. I know when you reported, when you started work, there's no cheating, there's no argument. That is what they do. They document, they write things down. And if you want to get started with project management, you need to start writing things down. That's how you start.
You need to start writing and putting them on paper. Write them down.
Everything that's important.
You've completed the university. You've applied for jobs. You have not been invited, or maybe you've attended interviews. Well, there are a few things that you need to put together. If you have the project management skills, like he mentioned earlier, what employers are looking for. If you're able to have this at the back of your mind, and you go for the interview, and maybe somebody who is on a panel who asks a question about project management in a different way, he throws it at you. You're looking for somebody who is somebody who can solve problems, someone who's a thinker. Now, if you lack these things, why should you be employed? But if you have them at the back of your mind, on the fingertips, then you are employable, and they will give you the job. Because, for example, somebody who owns his own business and is planning to go on retirement or is planning to go on a vacation, he wants to leave the job in the hands of somebody who is capable. Not somebody who pick up a phone and keep calling and say, "Okay, so this has come up, what should I do?" Or that is coming up, what should I do? It means that you're not really capable. You're not on top of the job. Am I right? Is that project management? So if the owner of the business knows that, well, you're capable, then he leaves it in your care and goes on his vacation or holiday, knowing very well that even at the time he comes back, all will be safe and perfect. That's what we're talking about in terms of project management. Please don't go away. We'll be right back.
You are great, yes.
The Word of God is a strong foundation, a rock that keeps us standing through the storms of life and exposes our innermost thoughts and desires. Join the International Central Gospel Church Trinity Temple, Kwadaso, every Sunday from 8 to 10:30 a.m. as we help you discover your purpose through life-transforming messages. Remember, the proof of a desire is in its pursuit. Don't miss our weekday services on Wednesdays and Fridays from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Your life will never be the same.
Say you are great. You are great. Say you are great. You are great. Everything about you is great.
For the past 12 years, New Generation Investment Services Limited, a leading investment banking firm, has guided thousands of institutions and retail investors to make millions in secured portfolio investments. New Generation Investment Services Limited is licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission and the National Pension Regulatory Authority. We offer Treasury Bill Plus fixtures for our products such as fixed deposits, premium investments, NGI's Child Care Investment, and Diamond Plus investment plans, as well as manages Tier 2 and Tier 3 pension funds. NGI's Limited also manages the Enidaso Mutual Fund. Talk to our seasoned investment advisors now and we will structure an investment portfolio for you. Visit us at first floor Kokobo Jubilee House, Adum Kumasi, and second floor Abosoma Kotre House near Cocoa House, Sunyani, or our website www.ngis-group.com. Call us in Kumasi on 03220-91608 or in Sunyani on 0352-197-482. New Generation Investment Services Limited, achieving excellent returns on your investments.
The great thing about life is that we are all different and we are free to enjoy life's different flavors everywhere. Under the blazing sun or during a fun night out with a crew, it doesn't matter, because at that moment, all you need to do is reach for a Club Mineral to turn up the sweet, bitter, bubbly, spicy or tangy flavor. Whether Club Orange, Club Cola, Club Muscatella, Club Soda or Club Tonic, there's a flavor for everyone. Turn up the flavor. Club Minerals, there's a flavor for everyone.
All right, so we're back again here on Love 99.5. Our subject for the the diary this afternoon here on Love 99.5 is centered on project management. We've talked about a lot of things. It's my prayer that for those of you who have set yourselves some New Year's resolution to get things right this time around, would practice these things in your personal life. If you own a business and you realize that, well, business is gone down, business is slow, it could be that, well, you're doing almost everything right. And please mind my words, almost everything right. But the people that you've employed lack some skills, they lack some qualities, they lack some ability. And so, it's creating problems for your customers. And don't forget that we live in a competitive world right now. Others are doing the same and might be doing better, so people will be looking elsewhere. How do you, as a boss, as a supervisor, how do you even help your own employees to do better? That's what we're talking about here. Now, even if your employer is not helping you to do better, you look at your own self and you say, listen, I want to be a better person, in 2018 than I was in 2017. So when you learn some of these skills, when you put them right, you realize that your bosses would even appreciate you, and you just do fine. On Facebook, I have Eddie K. Boateng. He says, good afternoon, David. I love the topic you're discussing, and I'm watching from Oforikrom. Well, I pray that as you watch, you're learning a few things as well. David Adu says, watching you from Achuma Kokobing. Ajiman Lucy says, hi, keep it up, David. Well, thank you very much. Joseph Volgate says, I love the topic. So people are interested in the topic. But let me throw in this other question. For people who are listening to us, people who own businesses, how would they know that the fact that the business is slow now, the fact that the business is not doing well now, has to do with the lack of project management, in there? How can they tell?
Okay, let me now talk about some of the symptoms of bad management. Now, if you start to see these things, it means project management is not actually integrated into your management system.
Okay.
If you see cost overruns, you set budget and you always exceed your budget, you lack project management. If you see a lot of delays, you set timelines and you exceed them, you don't achieve them, then there's a problem. Delays, people argue, people are complaining. You have huge customer complaints, poor customer satisfaction. It means project management is not integrated into your management system. If you have poor customer, I've already talked about that one. If you have if you have poor motivation, your staff motivation is very low, then there's a problem. Because
how are they motivated?
It's a problem because project management talks about how you manage your human resources. So you need to know how you manage your people. And part of managing your people is knowing how to motivate them. So if you learn project management, it will teach you how to motivate people.
Is it always about money to motivate people?
It's not money. Money motivates, but it's temporary. I say it pumps you, it fights you up, but it's temporary, okay? What really motivates self-actualization. So if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, what's on top is self-actualization. Physiological needs, which includes money, salaries, and all that, they lie at the bottom. Okay, so safety, security, all these motivate people. But if you know about project management, you see how to motivate people, even responsibility, reward. So you check your reward system. How do you reward people? Because people want to be acknowledged. People want to be rewarded as well.
Unfortunately, some bosses don't even pat people on the back and say, good job.
Just saying thank you. It's enough to motivate people. Appreciating them is enough to motivate people. So when you learn project, all these things. And it's common sense. But it might not come to you. But once you start learning, you tend to understand. So when there's poor motivation, that means project management is lacking. When there's repetition of mistakes, it happened last year, it's happening again, there's a problem. Project management is lacking. You need to check the qualification of your managers. There's a problem. Or you need to start training them. It has a lot of benefits.
We'll talk about training very soon, but listeners, if you have a question or a contribution, you can give us a call now on 03220-83596, 03220-83596. If you have a question or contribution about what we're talking about in terms of the project management, you can give us a call. If you have learned something and you think that, well, you want more clarity too, again, you can give us a call and we'll address it for you. But again, talking about, training. How do we go about it? You talk about the books being available. You talk about the training. Now here you talked about if things keep repeating itself in your organization, you make the same mistakes, then you should speak to you that, well, you lack the project management skill and all that. So how can organizations help their people? Is it that they call on experts like yourself and say, okay, come to our organization and train them for us? Or how can we do this?
So it's like you need to start observing. So if you start seeing these problems, it means the project management is basically lacking in your organization. So, and some of them can also observe these are all the things that they are talking about, I'm doing them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to keep doing them. Okay, so you standardize the practice. Some people need radical change. Means they are not actually applying the principles. They need to practice the standard. Okay, so you need to observe, look at yourself. Where do you stand? Are you doing all these things we are talking about? Then you need to standardize the practice, make it formal, create more awareness, then leverage it to achieve your set objectives, to make you do better. If these things are happening, then you need a radical change. You need to start practicing the standard. You need to incorporate it into your management system. How do you start? By inviting people or to train your staff. You know, work them through project management, make them understand it. Okay. Then you, the managers, will make sure people apply the principles. So if you are that big, you can also set up a PMO, project management office, which will supervise your project management activities, checking everything. So there's something organizations are doing already. They manage by project. So I haven't seen any big organization that would say, okay, we won't define what we have to do for the year. They will define everything they have to do for the year, set budget for that year, and you know, once there's you put a timeline on it, what does it become? It becomes a project.
A project, yeah.
But the year will run out. The things that they set, they wouldn't have even actually done a quarter of it. What's the problem? Because they lack the project management skills. They did not see it as a project. And the people in there to make sure it happens lack the skill set. So you set target, you never achieve it. Bringing it down to the personal level, 2018, many people have made their resolutions.
Yeah.
See it as a project because there's a timeline to it. So I want to get my master's, I want to do this, I want to get married, I want to do that. Put timelines on it. Have that plan. Execute the plan. Check every time. As you go, check. And check how your actuals are tracking to the plan. And take action, corrective action. Learn lessons all the time. And use the lessons to do a better job. So the month will run out, you learn lessons, and use the lessons that you learned for that month to do a better job the next month. When you do this, you see continuous improvement. So these are some of the things you can do within your organizations. If you do that, you'll be successful. And trust me, smart organizations are doing this already. So the big organizations that you see that are doing very well, they have project management as a rock in their management system.
Let's talk about books that you may recommend for us to read. Which books can we fall on to read? Any you can touch on?
I think you can, if you're a starter, then I'll recommend Dennis Locke. You can Google it and start reading about it. But if you already understand project management, you can go for the PM book. You know, if you want to be a PMP, project management professional, you can start reading the PM book. And we also have some basic training that we do for starters. There's a free Saturday that we do. We'll break it down for you to understand project management in few weeks. You know, we also do some training. So you can talk to us, you know, and we can get you started.
So at this point in time, I'd like to say thank you very much for your time. It's always good to learn something new. They may not come to us easily, but if we put our minds to it, if we're committed to it, I'm sure that we'll get the right results at the end of it all. Project management is the way to go, like you said, and it applies in our day-to-day activities. It applies in our businesses. And like you said, the smart big businesses are already applying it. I can tell you here at Love 99.5, all the managers here have the skill. That's the project management skill. They apply it in the day-to-day activities that we do here. And so it's my prayer that 2018 will be a better year for many people who are listening to us, especially those who want to do better, you know, with their lives and, of course, in their businesses. So once again, Godwin, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
And we have sports next right here on Love 99.5. Delali Atiasi is right here. Dela, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, David. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
All right, so I was listening to the Super Morning Show this morning, and
you had
the interview
the banter between the protocol coach and the journalist.
It was a very beautiful one. All right, so yesterday Chelsea played Arsenal. I mean, did it go the way you expected?
No, I want Arsenal to win, of course, and so a draw is not the result I was expecting anyway. But you know that ever since Antonio Conte came to Chelsea, it's been good for us now. It's not been like when Mourinho is in charge of Chelsea. So I think that we'll be on top.
Well, the lad's here. He's got your sports right here on Love 99.5. Good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for listening.
All right.